I'm Joe Zikas. I'm from Yo Chicago. I'm sitting here at Tom Corbett's kitchen.
Yeah.
And Tom is frequently touted as the #1 home inspector in Chicago, has won a number of awards, and his company is Tomacor.
So,
just to short circuit my thinking, how can I look for good builders?
right. Okay, so the deficiencies that we've been talking about, they need to be turned upside down. And those are the ways, one of the ways that you find good builders. Like, is there a building permit posted? Are there multiple permits posted, right? Is the job site in good condition?
Because you would need a special permit for plumbing and for electrical.
Yeah, absolutely.
Et cetera. So,
Is the job site kept clean? Are the access and egress stairways kept clean and accessible? That's real critical if you're going to be living in a high-rise and there's a fire. So other things, look at the detailing. Well, here's a simple thing for consumer where you don't need a professional home inspector. It's called plumb and square. And all the building codes basically speak to plumb and square as a minimum standard for workmanship. So, and workmanship is included. Workmanship standards are included in all of the model building codes that I am familiar with and that I've read and looked into, and that's probably 12 of them at this point, including some of the energy codes that are out there, and by that I mean different revisions even of some of the same codes, the international residential.
Let's short circuit it and ask what do you mean by plumb and square?
Okay, so plumb and square means...
English words, but
yeah.
What should I be looking for?
Right, so what that means is that I want you to take a step back. If it's a high-rise condominium, you won't be able to tell on the outside of the building whether it's plumb or square. But go into your unit and take a step back from walls and doors and look at those walls and doors from, I don't know, 15, 20 feet away. Do they look like they sit straight up and down, or does it look like they're cockeyed? And another way to do that, rather than just using your naked eye, is to compare the wall to the refrigerator that sits next to it. If there's a very wide gap at the top and a very narrow gap at the bottom of the wall, it may be possible that the walls that are being built inside your unit are out of plumb. So that's plumb.
Or it could be possible that the refrigerator wasn't installed on a level basis too.
Right, that's possible. That's why you look at the refrigerator next to the countertop and the cabinets next to it. So you have 2 points of reference to look at the wall. If that refrigerator is square and plumb, straight up and down, and meets the wall cabinets nicely and neatly, and if it meets the base cabinets nice and neat, yet the wall to the other side of it looks like there's a 2-inch gap at the top and only 1.5 inches at the bottom, then you start getting some insights about the workmanship in the unit. The other things to do, that's kind of plumb. That's what plumb is. Go around and you must check every single door and every single window for operation. And if those doors are very difficult or even partially difficult to open and close, or the windows are difficult to open and close, you know, we're looking at a situation where plumb and square may not have been in the vocabulary of the carpenter who did the work there. Other ways to check for quality on the outside, or let's just talk about the outside a little bit. Now, especially in the last 10 years, there's a lot of masonry construction going up. By masonry, I mean stackable brick, stone, block, you know, even concrete, because it's stacked in units, sometimes it's considered masonry. Look for the gaps between the block and the brick, the joints. Are they fully joined? Are there gaps where you can stick a business card into that gap? And if there's a gap big enough to take a business card, that wall's going to take water, and at some point somebody probably is going to get mold on the inside of their building. And this is especially true with the use of the new product on the market over the last 15 years called split face block, where the city of Chicago, in its wisdom, and this was wise, through the sponsorship of Alderman Vi Daley and other aldermen, promoted and was able to get past a specific building ordinance dealing with split face block and the sealing of it and the installation. However, if you see a building with split face block It looks just like a cinder block, what we used to call it, yet the surface of it will be rough and it will look like a piece of stone that's been hewn out of the side of a mountain, and it's typically 16 inches wide and 8 inches tall and 6 to 8 inches deep depending on the height of the building. If you're finding gaps in that split face block at the mortar joints, there's water inside that building. Water, in order to make mold, water only needs cellulose, which is on both sides of the drywall, which is in your building typically, although some advances have been made in that as well. So gaps in the masonry, poor quality masonry work. Absence of hose bibs at the front and the rear of the building. It's a small detail, but it helps speak to the same kind of quality or quality control. Lighting, public service lighting for the outside of the building and for the parking lots is also a really important item. And the other thing is...
You're saying you're seeing that missing in?
Yeah, we do see that missing. It's not as prevalent as... It's not on every building. Maybe it's, I don't know, a quarter of them or something, where we see big parking lots without, not maybe 30 car, 20 car parking lots without access lighting.